Guys, I am so excited right now. In 30 seconds, less than 30 seconds actually, you can see the timer ticking down. I am about to win the global tournament. This is the second time I've ever won a global tournament, and the first time I won it was a few years ago, so it has been just so long. This was the deck I was running. I'll show you guys some of the games that got me first, but here we go. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, one. Here we go. Tournament has ended. Oh, battle's still ongoing. Results in 6 minutes. Okay, I'll see you guys in 6 minutes. Okay, here we go. Battle's still ongoing. Results in five, four, three, two, one. Here we go. Let's go. Challenge has ended. Let's go. We got our rewards as well. Top 50, you get 100,000 gold. Good stuff. And then do we get our number one badge? All right, equipped it on my profile now. We got that number 5 and that number 1 now in the Royal Tournament. Let's go. So one of my last few games to end up getting number 1 was actually none other than the GOAT Mohamed Light. Flashlight, this is one of his mini accounts. As you guys know, he's by far one of the best players in the game. So the thing about this deck is it doesn't have Sparky in it. It's a Goblin Giant kind of Dark Prince mini P.E.K.K.A deck. So you have a lot of, dual lane pressure. That's what you want to be going in for in a lot of matchups. And it's completely fine to go for your Goblin Giant in the back first play of the game, as you saw here. Because if you know your opponent doesn't have a Sparky, then it's not really going to be that risky. And because I know Mohamed Light isn't going to be running something like Sparky, it's not that big of a risk. So pretty much in majority of matchups, like I said, it's fairly safe to do. Even if you're against something, like I would say like Lava Hound, it's usually good to set up a Goblin Giant push as soon as possible. But I already had a feeling he was going to be running something like this because I saw he was playing a lot of games using this deck in the tournament. And even though he's pretty versatile, I had a feeling he would like to stick to this deck because he's insane with minor wall breakers, and this deck that he's using is one of the best decks in the game, so it makes sense that he would want to keep playing it. But anyway, this was really good for me. The Heal Spirit ended up healing everything up. He kind of messed up his defense on that. And notice how I went in for the mini P.E.K.K.A and the Dark Prince there. I kind of caught him off guard. He went for Spear Goblins thinking that I wasn't going to play a Dark Prince. And as a result of him going in for the Spear Goblins, he didn't have enough Elixir to play the Knight right away. So you could even say that that Dark Prince was even a little bit of a prediction on top of the Spear Goblins. I would like to say it was, but I'm just going to be honest, I got a little bit lucky. But I feel like, in order to beat Mohamed Light, who's the best player in the game, you're going to need at least one lucky thing to happen in the match, right? So that essentially won us the game because at this point, we just have to defend from this point on. The Fireball is absolutely insane in this deck, especially on ladder where everyone's running Evolved Barbarians. But even in this Royal Tournament, where there were no evolutions, the Fireball just gets an insane amount of value. It's so nice to have against, a lot of, for example, if you're against any sort of, like glass cannons, like Musketeer, Magic Archer, things along those lines, Lava Hound decks, it's extremely nice to have. By the way, sorry if my commentating isn't amazing. Guys, I've been playing so much today, and it's like 5 a.m. right now, but I wanted to do my best to stay up, get this video out for you guys, so hopefully, at least the gameplay is making up for my lack of, commentary. But anyway, he tries to go for Desperation Magic Archer, but as you can see, game's already over. It's not common that you see, a game against Mohamed Light that wasn't even really that close. But like I said, I got a little lucky. I'm going to be honest, I'm not going to deny it and be like, oh, I completely outplayed him. We had one really good interaction go our way. That Dark Prince kind of like coming in right when he played the Spear Goblins, and he couldn't afford the Knight. The second game I really want to show you guys is against Riley, because I think a lot of you guys know who Riley is. He's a very good log bait player, and this is actually a very difficult matchup too. But kind of like against Mohamed Light, I got a little lucky with the start. You could actually argue, though, it was kind of a bad play on his end, because he did know I was running Goblin Giant, and when you're against a Goblin Giant deck, you don't want to go for a Goblin Barrel, like first play of the game, because that's kind of the one opportunity the Goblin Giant player can punish. So I pretty much won this game, just off of that. He's laughing. I honestly feel a little bad for him. He was probably pretty mad after that. I would be too, but it was also, in a way, a little bit his fault. Like, I know it was kind of unlucky for him, but that's why when you're the bait player, if you just play passive and single, there's pretty much no way for the Goblin Giant player to win. if you're just careful with how you play your princesses, like never going for princesses at the bridge, like always playing them in the back, and not playing your goblin barrels aggressively in single, and you should be fine in this type of matchup. He does have cannon though. It would be harder if he had a bomb tower or an inferno, but nonetheless still pretty good for bait. So I was happy with this win, but yeah, it's pretty much over, and you can tell he was pretty upset. So now, guys, this is the game I want to close out with, I guess. This is going to be kind of the last game I want to show you guys. I think it was kind of a crazy game. It's also a pretty difficult matchup, I would say. This guy actually, I'm pretty sure, sniped me, because this guy was normally running Graveyard. He was running Graveyard in pretty much all of his games in the Royal Tournament, and he knew that I was basically one of the only players he could match, so he changed his deck, because the way it works in global tournaments, you can only match someone who's within 2 wins of you, and because I was one of 2 players who he could match, basically, he basically went in with this deck to give himself a fairly nice matchup, even though his main deck was Graveyard. So in this type of matchup, you want to go in for some split lane pressure. You want to, you don't want to play things into the air cards like the Baby Dragon and the Inferno Drag, basically. So this deck, guys, even though it looks a little bit maybe like unskillful, it's a little weird. Like, you definitely have to kind of know what you're doing, because there's certain things you have to cycle that you wouldn't really think to cycle, if that makes sense. Like, for example, I feel like most people wouldn't have gone for the Dark Prince Mini P.E.K.K.A. at the bridge there when that Baby Dragon was coming in. The reason I did that is because it forced your response out of him in the left, and it wouldn't have even mattered if I played it in the right to tank for the Baby Dragon anyway, because the Baby Dragon would have whittled it down, and it would have been like a less threatening push. And then I caught him off guard, sending that Goblin Giant in when he defended the left. He had less ground cards, so the Goblin Giant ended up getting damage, and that's what you'll kind of see throughout the match. It's pretty much one of the only ways to win this matchup. You have to kind of like be unpredictable when you're going in for your pushes, because if you go for everything in the same lane, there's no way you're going to win against Lumberloon, especially when you're running Sparky. I feel like not having the Sparky is what gives you a chance, and the reason why I really like running this deck without Sparky is because you actually have a pretty decent chance of beating stuff like Logbait and also Lava Hound, which you pretty much would never beat if you had the Sparky inside of your deck. So that's what I really like about having the Heal Spirit and the Dark Prince and the Mini P.E.K.K.A. If you really want to use Sparky, you probably would just put it in for either the Heal Spirit, or I guess you could put it in for the Dark Prince or the Mini P.E.K.K.A. if you want. I mean, really, there's a lot of different variations of this deck you could play, but I do think, at least in the side of the Royal Tournament, this is definitely the best one. On ladder, I would use the Evolved Knight, and as you guys can see, that balloon ended up getting a ton of damage on top of my tower. Things are not looking very good. Like I said, this is not an easy matchup. Even without the Sparky, it's kind of a challenging matchup. This was really good here, though. I saved so much elixir by defending this Inferno Drag with just that 1 elixir Heal Spirit, so that allowed me to spend more with my push here on the right. That was actually not a great fireball, because I ended up missing the Lumberjack. Had I hit the Lumberjack, I wouldn't have had to defend that over there, but I guess it still ended up being okay, because he didn't even send in a balloon. If he actually sent in a balloon there, he might have been able to win the game, because I don't know if I would have been able to defend that. But here's where he might have made a mistake. So he sent in a balloon, and then watch what happened. This was crazy. I'm going to put this on halftime speed. See how that balloon like barely didn't connect? That was insane. And then after that, he couldn't defend. That was like, it was a high risk balloon, didn't pay off. He probably should have been more patient, because I won the game. I said wow. Kind of a little bit of BM, because he sniped me and it was a hard matchup. But anyways, guys, those are some of my games that got me #1 inside of the Royal Tournament. Hope you guys enjoyed the video. So excited, finally won another one.